Well, hello once again, all my vintage dirt bike loving YouTubers, and a very special hello to all of my channel subscribers who are currently helping me head towards that elusive 10,000 subscribers total. Now, this next featured posting is actually a picture slideshow of a bike I spotted at a classic and Twinshock race event some years back, and although the bike's not a complete factory built original, it's still certainly worth a look here on Classic Dirt Bike TV. So please sit back for the next few minutes as we take a browse at Jim Colligan's CR480 Honda Twinshock Hybrid. Now, because this bike is titled as a hybrid, you'll no doubt expect that it's not a factory-made original bike, but is actually put together from two different Honda motocrossers. Now, this is the actual condition the bike was in when Jim purchased the bike, and when these pictures were taken, this was more or less the bike's very first racing debut and its first outing on the track since Jim bought the bike. Now, as you would expect, because this is a hybrid, the bike's chassis is taken from a 1979 Honda Red Rocket, and that big 480 Honda two-stroke motor is from a 1982 Honda CR model. Now, to be fair, I'm not entirely sure as to what was actually done to the 79 Red Rocket frame to enable this big lump of a 480 engine to fit into it, but as I said, Jim actually bought this bike as you see it here, and he had absolutely nothing to do with its construction. Now, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you how awesome and powerful these big 480cc two-strokes are. Now, this is a big engine for riders with big cojones, and if it's arm wrestling grunt that you're looking for in your motocross racer, then for sure this 480 power plant will supply it in bucket loads, and of course still have plenty left in reserve. Now, Jim's machine also has this very nice alloy airbox, which was custom made to fit the bike, and of course would have replaced the plastic original. Now, as far as I'm aware, the front forks are all original Honda items, although a new set of alloy top and bottom triple clamps were machined from billet alloy by Ayrshire bike engineer Archie Baird. But these long legs on this Honda gave about 12 inches of travel and were very strong and good enough to cope with anything that this bike would encounter on a racetrack. Now, twin leading shoe front brakes again on these front stoppers, and these had to work extremely hard to slow down the 52 plus horsepower that the 4-speed Honda motor would be putting out. Now, by now you're no doubt aware that this square box section alloy rear swing arm is not right for this bike, and I've no idea myself as to who fitted it to this machine, but it looks distinctly to me like it's been taken from a more modern monoshock motocrosser and then had mounting plates welded on each side of the swing arm to be able to fit a pair of twin shocks. But I'm not sure what it does to the overall handling of the bike, but apart from making the machine look like a hill climb special, it still has the look of a very quick twin shock classic. Now, in the rear suspension department, these look like a very nice pair of Swedish made piggyback Öhlins units, which will hopefully keep that rather long swing arm tracking straight and true. Now, once again, the exhaust expansion chamber is not the Honda original, but is a pattern replacement part, which is more or less a straight bolt-on copy of the original Honda factory part. Now the bike's tailpipe has also been changed for this American-made D&G alloy pipe, which is of course excellent quality, and D&G have been making these types of racing exhaust systems now for almost 40 years. As far as I'm aware, the bike's fuel tank and this quite plush looking seat are from the 1979 Honda Red Rocket part of the bike. Now the bike's handlebars, control cables and levers are more or less standard motocross items, although the bike has an engine decompressor lever fitted to aid starting that big 480 motor. The bike also has an engine kill switch fitted, which is a mandatory requirement to race it in Scotland. But despite this bike being a bit of a mongrel and being made up from two different motorcycles, you have to say that it's still a nice little bit of kit, and having that big brute of a 480 two-stroke motor between your legs is going to help you get around the track in a very quick hurry. But building these types of hybrid racers seems to be very popular these days with twin-shock riders, and I have to say that during my travels around the country in the past I've come across some weird and wonderful looking concoctions of twin-shock race bikes, and this machine of Jim Colligan's is certainly another little gem, that's for sure. But that extended alloy swing arm definitely gives this bike a very unique look, and I'm sure that the guy that put the bike together had his reasons to use a 79 chassis with the 82 480 motor. Now as such we don't have any footage of the bike close up and running, but this time I think we could maybe go one better and have a look at Jim riding the bike on its first race meeting at Thornhill near Dumfries some years back. Now Jim was racing the bike in the pre-1984 class, and so he was up against some decent competition with other guys riding 490 Micros and YZ490 Yamahas, so it was going to be hard work getting used to his brand new bike. Now this particular track at Thornhill was not the best to test the big Honda, as it was quite narrow and twisty, because as you well know, these big open class race bikes just love the wide open racetracks where they can stretch their particular legs. So let's just stick with Jim on a few laps of the Thornhill racetrack. This video was brought to you in association with WealthSport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road, sports and leisure wear. Just visit their online website at wealthsport.com for more details.